Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We're here today with episode 2377 of the Cabral concept. If you noticed a whole lot of stuff in my background right now, actually looks like part geranium if you're watching this on video over at YouTube. And if you are, we'd love, of course, for you to subscribe, follow along here on the journey. Daily videos coming out each day, as well as clips of our most popular watched portions. So what I did though is I moved out of my Boston office. Everything is in my main office right now. And I've got a whole lot of unpacking to do, but that's not going to stop us from getting into this type of fasting and how it boosts the overall immune system. So I want to share with you today 4 really great studies that actually share what type of fasting works best if you need to boost the immune system. Now, of course, whenever I'm talking about a medical-based issue, I have to give you that famous disclaimer. I cannot provide you with any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, or medical diagnosis. But what I can do is share with you the actual scientifically published research that states everything I'm going to share with you here today. And then I will let you be the judge for what you believe you should do with your own body. All right. So this is something that now I've been using for about 15 years now in my own life and my private practice. So you know that I use intermittent fasting on a daily basis and have now, for it's been a long time now, over 15 years. And essentially what I do is I found my sweet spot. Everybody needs to find their sweet spot. But if you don't know what an intermittent fast is, just head on over to stevencabral.com/IF. Those are all my intermittent fasting shows. Literally, it will be a big download of everything you need to know about the benefits of intermittent fasting. But an intermittent fast starts at 12 hours. So once you haven't eaten for 12 hours, you begin an intermittent fast. Now, the first time you share that with someone, they're like, that's crazy. How could you not eat for 12 hours? That's like half a day. But when you start to think about it, hopefully you're in bed for 8 hours of that, right? Or 7.5 or 8.5, somewhere around there. Right? So for me, if I stop eating at 6 o'clock at night and I don't eat till 8 in the morning, which is my schedule, that's 14 hours. 6 until midnight, that's 6, plus another 8, that's 14 hours. So for me, it's a very easy structure. And the 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. seems to work really well for the majority of clients in our private practice. Now, and again, it's a virtual practice with people all over the world. Like anybody can join it. It's not like we're only working with these 2 people. No, it's not that. I mean, we've worked with now well over 250,000 people. We stopped counting at basically 250,000 client appointments, but we're still completing about 2,000 appointments every single month. So here's the thing that I want to share with you. Yours might be 12. It might be 16 hours. You'll find the right amount that works for you. It's going to be a little bit of trial and error. Could be with where you're at in life. And it could also vary by day. So keep in mind, most of you will know about my 1-day reset diet. If you don't know about that, I'm not going to go into that today, but certainly you can look that up as well, or we'll link it up at stevencabral.com/2377. That's where all the research will be from today's show as well. What I can share with you is this. A lot of intermittent fasts out there, right? I mean, it's all over the map. But if we're going by science, we can share with you that on a daily basis, somewhere around 12 to 16 hours a day seems to work best. Okay. After that, no problem. Like you can do longer if it's every once in a while. If it's every day, it seems to be nutrient depleting and catabolic over a longer period of time. That means you're going to see symptoms of thinning skin, wrinkly skin, grayer hair, thinner hair, slower nail growth, hair loss, poor muscle tone, fatigue, like all of these different things that start to show, hey, the body's breaking down here, right? And it's happened slowly over weeks and months. So what I'm sharing with you is what's good in the beginning may not be good a month, 2 months, 3 months from now. We find that all the time, again, with very low carb diets as well. Very beneficial in the beginning, but you don't want to stay there forever, right? For most people. I'm not going to give you an exact diet plan here today, but what I've shared with you, again, is 20 plus years in practice and well over 250,000 client appointments. We understand that people are different, but we are also fundamentally the same. Like our systems of our body work the same, and that includes our white blood cells and immune system. So daily basis, 12 to 16 hours, but what if you really want to boost your immune system. I'm going to link up another podcast here today called What Happens When You Fast. And it's all about at 12 hours, 18 hours, 24 hours, 36 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. I teach you exactly what happens. Because if you are looking to purposely boost the immune system, you're going to want to do an extended fast. I'm going to share with you now some of the details of that, okay? So, again, not providing any medical advice. The first one is this. Let me get you all of the different titles of these studies, but of course, I will personally link each of them up. So all of these skeptical minds can always look at the research themselves, or even those who just want to go a little bit deeper. That's great too. All right, this one's called Ramadan Fasting During COVID-19 Pandemic, Observance of Health, Nutrition, and Exercise Criteria for Improving the Immune System. All right, so I really enjoy, so this is a Ramadan fast is typically 13 hours to 18 hours often per day. And that's going to shift just a little bit by when people are eating outside of daylight hours, essentially. I know I'm not doing that justice, but that's not the topic of today's podcast. I've actually done another podcast on the blood work and inflammation markers during Ramadan on people doing it. It's phenomenal. I mean, it really is. Let me give you a little hint why. You're eating in the morning, essentially before sunrise, and then after sunset at night. So it's not perfect, but you basically have two 12-hour intermittent fasts. Now, if one intermittent fast is good, two seems to be as good, maybe even better, which is really interesting. Now, it does go against the improvements that you will get with sleep, because if you eat a big meal before bed, you're not going to have the good deep sleep numbers. You won't have as good REM numbers. And again, you can test this yourself. You don't even need to believe me. But it is very interesting. And it's very interesting in terms of the immune system and inflammation, because they show, and I'm just going to give you a quick read. Let's see here. Fasting for more than this 18 hours allows the body to produce more white blood cells, which rejuvenates the immune system to fight infection. Although it has been shown in humans and animals that the numbers of white blood cells decreases with long-term fasting when the body's refed. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, it means this. Up to a 3-day fast, they show, benefits in the immune system. After that, it can actually start to go the other way. And when you refeed again, it goes back to normal white blood cell numbers. Why do white blood cells matter? White blood cells are what go around the body, scavenge for cancer cells, viruses, bacteria, and other pathogens that shouldn't be there. If you can increase the white blood cell count and or the speed, like you can with heat and sauna, you're able to boost the immune system. Very interesting. Let's look at the next study. This one is from PubMed. And, all right, this one is called Intermittent Fasting, a possible priming tool for host defense. And this is, again, for that virus. Again, the more I mention the virus, the more I have potential for being not banned completely anymore, because they don't do that, but not shown to as many people. So the virus, I think you know what I'm talking about. And it's also looks at calorie restriction, autophagy, and immune response. Okay, so this is really interesting. Host defense means you, right? You are the host to a virus. The virus can't live on its own. It's basically a DNA fragment when it gets into your body. Then it will replicate inside of your body. It needs a host. You're the host. So the defense is you defending it again with your white blood cells. Okay, so this is interesting. As a healthy practice, calorie restriction in form of intermittent fasting in several clinical settings has been reported to promote several health benefits, including priming of the immune system. This dietary restriction also activates autophagy, which is a cellular surveillance system that helps boost immunity. Many years ago, in 2016, the Nobel Prize went to a researcher in oncology, found that intermittent fasting increased autophagy, which helped kill cancer cells inside of the body. Really amazing. That same year, we'd already been doing a functional medicine detox for a long time. Functional medicine detoxes shot through the roof. because people started to realize, oh, this is really science-based. It's not a detox tea. It's not a detox juice. It's not a whatever intestinal cleanse. There's nothing wrong with those. Nothing wrong with intestinal cleanses. We do them. I have no problem with something like a, whatever you want to call it, a dandelion tea, a burdock root, any of those. They're all fine. They're all fine. They're not a functional medicine detox, right? So this actually, functional medicine detox ramps up autophagy. We're going to learn more in just a moment, and I believe it is this next one. All right, this one's out of the Cleveland Clinic, and it says, research published by the University of Southern California has shown that prolonged fasting can lead to regeneration of the cells of your immune system. So by the way, everybody's been saying this so far, but it doesn't tell you how yet, but we're about to get to that. So when we begin to fast, the body initially breaks down a number of immune-fighting white blood cells. So this is interesting. So I'm going to just go into summarize. So, because it gets in the weeds here. So in the beginning, you start to fast, the weak white blood cells die off. Just kill them right off. Same happens with actually mitochondria, which produce the energy in your body, the ATP. Here's what they found though. Research found that cells in the body that support the immune system and attack invading pathogens leave the bloodstream when we stop eating as the nutrient content becomes low. So we don't get as many vitamins, minerals, and specifically, I'll be honest with you, it's proteins. It's the amino acids from these proteins, which is an anabolic-based pathway. So what happens? Well, some white blood cells die off. Others retreat. They actually go back into your bone marrow. Why would they do that? Here's why. They begin to regenerate and become supercharged. They become superhero white blood cells, if you want to look at it like that. And now, when they get back into the bloodstream, they can act much more fiercely against cancer cells, virus, bacteria, and other pathogens. So it's the fasting that allows them to actually rejuvenate and become supercharged. And that's not my words. Actually, supercharged is part of the Cleveland Clinic's words. All right, the last one before I pull it together and give you the actual amount of hours you should be doing. Cycles of fasting, this is another PubMed study. And again, I'll link all of these up for you so you have all of the data yourself, and you can always, again, share it with clients if you're an integrative health practitioner. You can share it with your doctor, whoever you want. All right, this one's titled, When Fasting Gets Tough, the Immune Cells Get Going or Die. All right, so this is really very interesting. All right, it's backing up what I just talked about, but there's more. Cycles of fasting reduce autoimmunity. So think about all the autoimmune diseases out there, right? Well, fasting reduces autoimmunity and activates lymphocyte, another white blood cell, type of white blood cell, dependent killing of cancer cells. So we begin to fast, reduces autoimmunity, reduces overall inflammation, activates specific lymphocytes that also kill cancer cells. Sounds pretty good so far. 3 studies inside of this issue of cell, meaning like cell biology, begin to reveal the drastic and complex effects of fasting and severe calorie restriction on the levels and localization of different immune cells and the mechanisms responsible for them. Here is the nuance. Again, this is why I talked about this yesterday on a Monday show. It's not about reading the surface level headlines. Because at first you would think, well, I can just reduce my calories and get these benefits. You can't. Here's why. Calorie restriction causes relatively minor effects on the signaling pathways involved in both cell death and stem cell activation compared to the more severe fasting interventions. Let me repeat that, but in just normal speak. If you reduce your calories down to 1,200 a day, 1,400 a day, and that's like 300 to 500 less than you typically eat per day, it does not have, and let's just say over the course of a week, you reduced it by 3,500 calories. And that's typically what you eat in 1 week. Okay, you basically went then 1 day without eating, right? Because that's what you did, 500 calories a day for a week, and you typically eat 3,500 calories. I'm not saying most people eat that much, but here's the thing. It does not compare to eating normally every day and taking out 1 full day of eating. That's the bottom line. And that is because when you don't eat any food and then your body has to say, well, what are we going to do now? There's no calories. It begins to say, it's time to clean house. And we're going to get our energy, we're going to get our fuel from our reserves. As the reserves start to break down, it says, now it's time to look at the next level. Let's kill off the weak cells, the weak mitochondria, the viruses, the bacteria, the pathogenic tissue, necrotic tissue, the cancer cells. And we're going to lyophilize or phagocytize, which just basically means like your white blood cells act like a Pac-Man or Pac-Woman, and they eat them up. They literally gobble them up, and they move them out of your body using what's possible for fuel and just cleaning house. That's what your body does during a fast. It is the closest thing we have right now to the fountain of youth, 100%. So here's the other interesting part, and you don't get this with just calorie restriction. If you go 12, 16, 18, 24, 48, 72 hours without eating, when you refeed, yes, white blood cells go back to normal. That's okay. We want that. We don't want an over-exaggerated immune system for too long. But here's what happens. Stem cells begin to activate, your own natural stem cells. What does that mean? Stem cells rejuvenate the body. So you get a cellular cleanup. All of a sudden now, food, healthy food, comes back in, rejuvenation takes place. As I said, this is the absolute closest thing we have right now to the fountain of youth, without a doubt. So how do you maximize it? How do you take advantage of it? And I'm going to link up another podcast here today, the 4 types of fasting. So please check out the show right afterwards for more details. 1, daily basis, 12 to 16 hours. The more hours before you go to bed that you fast, the better the fast will be. Fasting is best in the evening, not in the morning. That's science. That's literally real science. And you don't have to ever believe me. Excuse me. All you need to do is track your biometrics. Get a Whoop strap, get an Oura ring, get a BioStrap, get a Apple Watch, whatever you want. Watch what happens to your HRV, your deep sleep, your REM, your body temperature, your breath rate. If you stop eating 3 to 4 hours before bed. Amazing what takes place. And then even if you ate within a half hour of waking, you're still going to get 12 hours of intermittent fasting overnight. One of the best things you could ever do. Okay. The next is, you might want to look into a once a week intermittent fast of what I do is I go from Sunday night, dinner with my family, don't eat on Monday. I either do the 1-day reset diet that you can check out, or I go until, and then either way, I'm breaking my fast Monday night. So I went 24 hours, but I had dinner with my family both nights. Really, really easy way to do it. And then once a quarter, every 12 weeks, 7, 14, or 21-day functional medicine detox. The one that I use is at stephencabral.com/detox. You can use that one if you want. If not, work with your local integrative health practitioner or functional medicine doctor to do the one that they recommend. All I'm saying is these things work. Excuse me. Literally the closest thing we have to the fountain of youth, no doubt about it, and it boosts your immune system. Last part. Why would we want to do this specifically at another time of the year? Okay. I'm not giving medical advice right now. What happens is, if I ever have a fever, or if I ever get sick, I ever have a cold, whatever it might be, I do a 24-hour, 1-day reset diet always, the day that I feel it's coming on. I don't work out hard. I rest my body. I still get my steps in, but that's it. So let's say I just traveled to the West Coast like I often do. I come back on a Wednesday, which I actually have to do this week, and I feel like I got a cold. I feel like I'm getting run down. Okay? On Thursday, so Wednesday night, felt it coming on. I had dinner with my family. If I felt it coming on, I might skip dinner, but that's me. And then I would fast all day on Thursday. And then I'd have dinner with my family on Thursday night, or I might go completely that day and then have breakfast that next morning. Or I would begin a 7-day functional medicine detox, like the one, again, that I recommend, and I've done that many times. What I'm doing is I'm taking advantage of how my immune system works. I'm using fasting to boost my immune system to allow my body to do what it already knows how to do. I'm just giving it the nutrients that it needs in order to do that to a greater degree. I'm helping to speed up phase 1, phase 2 liver detoxification. So here's the thing. I truly believe that if we begin to combine all forms of health and science and medicine, that is how we truly accelerate. There's just no doubt about it. So I leave you with this today. This is what I do in order to improve my overall health. I've seen amazing things happen with my overall health and my body, my life, but also inside of our practice. And I just invite you to do more reading, more exploration on this, and start to use some intermittent fasting in your life. And strategically, again, if you ever need it to boost your immune system. So hopefully this was helpful. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. I appreciate you. As always, feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could serve.